Hello, my name is Mr. Chipman, and I teach AP Biology and Biology at Murray High School in Murray, Kentucky. This is 4.4 Earth's Atmosphere. Looking at Earth's atmosphere, let's look at the composition of Earth's atmosphere. The atmosphere is primarily nitrogen. 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen. Nitrogen gas, unusable by living things, needs to be fixed by bacteria, which is this whole other thing that we are not talking about right now. Sorry. It's the biology teacher and me coming out. 20.9 or 21% oxygen, other gases. You can see there argon, CO2, some other things. There are lots of trace gases in the atmosphere, things like neon, helium, methane, ozone, water vapor, other that are part of our atmospheric composition as well. The composition of the atmosphere is generally stable, meaning that it is generally found to be around the same thing. However, anthropogenic inputs, meaning things that come from humans, can actually alter that concentration, which is why we see CO2 levels rising and that sort of thing because of fossil fuel burning. Let's look at the layers of the atmosphere. So there's several layers of the atmosphere. You have the troposphere. This is the closest to the Earth. This is where you have weather and clouds and life. Temperature generally decreases with altitude. This goes up to around 20 kilometers or so. And then you go to the stratosphere. Stratosphere is going to be 12 to 50 kilometers. Ozone layer is up in here. This is what absorbs the UV radiation, which protects us. Temperature increases with altitude. Why is that? Because, well, you're getting closer to the sun, right? And so you kind of go through this time where once you get past the ozone layer, it's no longer blocking the UV radiation, and so then, well, it's hitting you. So it warms up, actually. The mesosphere, meso's middle. You can see it's in the middle. Mesosphere, 50 to 80 or so. This is the coldest layer. This is where meteors typically burn up in the mesosphere. Temperature decreases with altitude. And again, so you have these different layers of temperature, which we're going to look at. The thermosphere is next, and in the thermosphere, it's very thin air here. Auroras, like the aurora borealis, occurs in the thermosphere, or the troposphere is what you see on the picture on the right. So ignore that one. Look at the one on the left there. Satellites orbit typically, and so this is really far out there, right? Temperature increases with altitude, again, getting closer to the sun. And then the exosphere, this is the outermost layer, 600 plus kilometers away. This transitions into space, into the unknown, into the abyss of space. So let's look at this idea of temperature real quick. And you can see this graph here on the left, very, very common graph, I guess. And you can see the one on the right kind of giving you some more numbers and math things easy to see there. The altitude generally sort of fluctuates, or the temperature sort of fluctuates, right, depending on where you're at. A lot of this has to do with whether energy is being reflected or absorbed in that particular area. If it's being reflected by something like the ozone, then the ozone is protecting the lower layers. That's why it gets colder. Then it gets warmer because the ozone is not there anymore. Then you have the thinner air. So there's all these different things that are going to cause the different temperature layers in the atmosphere. The solar radiation in the thermosphere, it's very hot. Obviously, temperature is going to continue to raise up there once you get closer or further and further away from the Earth. Here's some examples of this that kind of show that. And you see the ozone layer protecting that UV. And then as you get closer and closer, there's less protection, so you'd expect to see more and more heat, right? Greenhouse, you probably heard of the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse gases are concentrated in the troposphere and they're able to trap heat, right? Which is why temperatures are rising up as those greenhouse gases sort of build up. This traps heat and causes the temperature to increase. Here's the aurora borealis. It's found in the thermosphere. It's caused by solar wind that interacts with charged particles to make sort of this magic dust effect. Really cool. There's the aurora borealis in the north, the australis, I don't know how you pronounce it, in the south, same kind of thing. So let's look at a practice problem with this temperature diagram. The diagram shows temperature changes across Earth's atmospheric layers, which of the following best explains why the stratosphere's temperature increases with altitude. So we talked about this. We said the ozone layer is found in the stratosphere, right? So let's go and see if we can find that in ABCD. Stratosphere contains the highest concentration of water vapor. We haven't learned that. Convection currents in the stratosphere distribute Earth's surface. No, again, didn't hear that. Stratosphere lies above the mesosphere. It actually doesn't, so it's wrong. Ozone molecules absorb ultraviolet radiation, releasing heat energy. There it is. There it is. We got D is the correct answer. I hope that this video over 4.4 was helpful. We're going to be looking at 4.5 really quickly.